Good evening. I welcome you all once again. September 18th, 2014. We'll initiate today's topic. Yesterday, we have seen something about this United Nations organization, and we understood that there are 5 different subunits which are called principal organizations of the United Nations organization. And we have seen the first one, that is the General Assembly. We have seen certain things. And the General Assembly session has already begun for the month of September 2014, and we'll see the latest developments over a period of time. But let me come to the rest of the institutions which are present in the United Nations, and let me show you the document straight away. So we have the second one. The next one is the Security Council. This is the security. First one is the General Assembly, and now we are talking about the United Nations Security Council. So let's try to understand. So what exactly is this? Now, see, when it comes to this United Nations here, the Security Council is considered to be another important organization where the security issues will be taken care here. That's the reason why when it comes to the international sanctions or giving certain directions to, so any of the other institutions, it lies with the responsibility lies with the Security Council. And yesterday when I was talking to you about General Assembly, I told you all the members are the representatives in the General Assembly. But when it comes to the Security Council, the strength of Security Council is 15, 1-5. And out of this 15, 5 countries are considered to be the permanent members, and the remaining 10 countries are considered to be the non-permanent members. This is one important concept. We need to pay a lot of attention on this. So when it comes to these 5 permanent members here, United States of America, UK, France, Russia, and China, these 5 nations are considered to be the permanent members. Meaning there is no necessity of separate invitation to these countries with respect to the meetings of the Security Council. But apart from these 5 countries, another 10 countries are present in the Security Council. They are called non-permanent members. Kindly remember, when I am using the word non-permanent member here, the term of each non-permanent member is 2 years. And that term will always begin on January 1st of a particular year, and the term will come to an end by December 31st next year. Hope you are following. Very, very important. So the term should be completely 2 calendar years. So calendar year means it begins on January 1st, ends on December 31st. And because I am talking to you about the 2 calendar years, obviously it will begin on January 1st of 1 year and it will end on the December 31st of the next year. So this is the basic idea of having the non-permanent members. So what exactly they will do here? Meaning instead of not just the permanent members, even the non-permanent members will also be allowed to take part in the decisions that are being taken in the Security Council. That's the reason why non-permanent members will be coming into picture. Yesterday, while talking about the General Assembly, I told you one point, that one of the functions of the General Assembly is to elect the non-permanent members to the Security Council. This is what we have understood yesterday. I am repeating the same point now. Whatever the 10 members I have today as a non-permanent members in the Security Council, they are elected by General Assembly. And once they are elected, they have the term of 2 years. But there is one condition here. That condition is that a non-permanent member is not permitted to be immediate re-election. They are not permitted for immediate re-election. What is the meaning of this? From January 1st of 1 year to the next December 31st of next year, they will have a term of 2 years. And immediately after that, they cannot continue for the second term there should be a gap at least 1 year. Then they can get re-elected. In that manner, if you look at India, India became a non-permanent member of Security Council for 7 times so far. This is one important question with respect to the United Nations. India became a non-permanent member so far for 7 times. And at any time it can be re-elected. So like that it will continue. But otherwise, so the permanent members are 5 and non-permanent members are 10. Now, another important point with respect to the Security Council. Yesterday when I am talking about the General Assembly, I told you there is a president for the General Assembly and the term of the president is 1 year. This is what we have understood. Today again, I am talking about the another organization. Listen carefully, very important. The Security Council is also headed by a president. But the term of the president of the Security Council is 1 month. Kindly remember this. Meaning, when we have 5 members and 10 members, altogether 15, each country is permitted to act as a president for a period of not more than 1 month. That's the reason today, if you look at this month, September 2014, as of today, the president of Security Council belongs to United States of America. So next month it will go to some other country, and next month it will go to some other country. Like this, it will have a rotation. Meaning, we are giving an opportunity to all the permanent members and non-permanent members to act as the president. This is one question which is very periodically asked in the examination. What is the term of the president of the Security Council? Answer is 1 month. And apart from this, some more issues are there. So I'll be showing the document now. Let's open the document and have a discussion. Look at this. The first meeting was held on January 17th, 1946. Okay, let's leave it. What is the basic objective? The basic objective is to maintain the peace and security among the nation. Because it is the most important aspect, we give lots of attention to the Security Council meetings. Next, go to next line. The powers of the Security Council are exercised through the Security Council resolutions. Meaning that decisions are taken in the Security Council when all 5 plus 10 members, 15 members are present in the Security Council. What you will do? This establishes the peacekeeping operations. It will implement the international sanctions. What do you mean by international sanctions? Say for example, sometimes some of the countries, they will go for the nuclear weapons test. And conducting the nuclear weapons test has been banned by the international community, meaning the decision was taken in the United Nations. That's the reason why if any country conducts any nuclear test here, the Security Council has every right to impose the sanctions. When the sanctions are imposed, remaining countries are expected to cut the links with the nation which violated the rules and regulations. And whether it is being implemented properly or not will be verified by the Security Council. And it will also authorize the military operation. What do you mean by this? If there is any issue with respect to the maintenance of the peace is concerned, then the Security Council will be sending the United Nations peacekeeping force to the concerned country so that the normalcy will be restored and the decision will be taken by the Security Council. Now look at this. I'm just scrolling it down. Look at this now. I'm highlighting now this point. The basic structure of the Security Council is specified in the chapter 5 of United Nations Charter. This is not important. Just leave it for this. Otherwise, when it comes to the structure here, the Security Council is a 15-member body. I told you these points. There are 5 permanent members and 10 elected non-permanent members. Kindly remember, the point is that who will elect the non-permanent members? The non-permanent members are elected by General Assembly. Next one. Each non-permanent member will have a term of 2 years. And look at this next point. The non-permanent members are not permitted for immediate re-election. They may be re-elected, but they are not permitted for the immediate re-election. Meaning is so simple. For example, if any country becomes a non-permanent member by January 1st, 2013, it will continue as a non-permanent member up to December 31st, 2014, meaning they are completing 2 years. Again, from January 1st, 2015 onwards, new member will come into picture, and already the existing member is not permitted to continue as the member immediately. There should be a gap. Hope you are following this. Now, the permanent members are also called the P5. Here, this is all. That is the reason why sometimes we also use this one. So this is what I am highlighting, P5. P5 is nothing but permanent 5. And I told you the names here. Kindly remember these names. 5 names. These are important for any examination point of view. United States of America, United Kingdom, France, Russia, and China. So these are the 5 nations. Look at this. Some miscellaneous point I have given you. Have a look at this. So this is also helpful for us to understand the other concepts later. These are also the 5 nations that are recognized as nuclear weapon states, meaning only these countries are permitted to possess the nuclear weapons. So this is the one bigger issue as far as the countries like India is concerned. Look at this. One important thing that is going on in India today. The president of China has visited India. Today he is there in India, and the meetings are going on with respect to the investments to be made by China in India, with respect to the border issues. So many things are happening. But the recent allegations you have seen, of course not allegations, this is the fact rather. This Chinese army is trying to intrude into the Indian areas, and some civilians also entered into the Indian territory. Army also entered into the Indian territory. But today what happened is that the Prime Minister of India, he exerted so much of pressure on the Chinese president, and the latest news is that the Chinese army has withdrawn from the Indian area. The civilians are also leaving this Indian territory. So now there is a situation of calmness on the borders today, but we have to wait and watch what is going to happen. That's the reason why whenever we talk about the international issues, the relation between India and China is also important for us. So now we have understood one point. Out of the permanent 5 countries here, one of the country is the China, and China is P5, and it is also possessing the nuclear weapons. Now the problem is that when China has the nuclear weapons and India does not have the nuclear weapons, obviously India will always face a threat from China. That's the reason when Srimati Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India, she has conducted the nuclear test. So that was done in the Pokhran, that is in Rajasthan. During that time, it was considered as the violation of the directions of the United Nations, and so many restrictions have been imposed on India. Later, over a period of time, so meaning is so simple, if nuclear weapons are present in China, and if India does not have the nuclear weapons, we feel the threat. That's the reason India forcefully went for the nuclear weapons. And after a period of time, when Vajpayee was the Prime Minister of India in the year 1998, again Pokhran 2 has been conducted. India has again tested the nuclear weapons. Even during that time, there was so much of restrictions were imposed on India. It took a lot of time for India to convince the international world. And during that time, India was mentioning very, very clearly, India has adopted a policy called no first use policy, meaning India promised to the international community saying that though we have the nuclear weapons, we are not going to use the nuclear weapons first. But if somebody uses nuclear weapons against India, India is not a country to tolerate and India will retaliate. So these are the specifications that are made by India very clearly and openly. That's the reason why over a period of time, again, the restrictions have been removed and the normalcy has been restored. Fine. So that because, of course, we have a threat from China, obviously, especially in the defense matters, India is competing with China here. Of course, military wise, they may have lots of military, but India is also not secondary to any other country. That's the reason why. So we are keeping on strengthening our military system and defense system. That is one thing. Second one, I am going to the document again. Have a look at this. Now look at this. The president of the Security Council is held for 1 month in rotation by the member states in English alphabetical order. Very important point here. Just now I told you the president of the Security Council term is just 1 month. That too on the rotation. That too on the English alphabetical order. Kindly remember this. The non-permanent members are elected by the General Assembly for a term of 2 years. I told you this point. It's a repetition. Now, the term starts on January 1st and ends on December 31st of next year. I'll give you one example now. Before that, let me tell you this point. The election is based on 2/3 of vote. In India, whenever it comes to 2/3, we always say that it is a special majority. Next, look at this. The latest information. The present non-permanent members are, look at this. I'm just giving it to you. From January 1st, 2013, clear, I told you already, the term of each non-permanent member is 5 years. Look at this, very carefully look at this. 5 permanent members came into picture from January 1st, 2013, and they will have the term up to December 31st, 2014. Hopefully I'm clear. Whatever you are looking on the screen, this is exact 2 calendar years. Kindly don't get confused. Complete 2 calendar years are there. And during this time, I have 5 countries as the permanent members. Argentina, Australia, Luxembourg, Korea, and Rwanda. So these are the 5 non-permanent members for this particular 2 years. Hope I am clear. Now, I am going to next point here. Of course, it's here. Just have a look at this before I go further. One information here. Ashok Kumar Mukherjee of India is a permanent representative in United Nations here. I'll tell you this point later, but kindly remember Ashok Kumar Mukherjee. And India has become the non-permanent member of the Security Council for 7 times. Remember this point. Now see here. So again I am highlighting. So when I said January 1st to December 31st from 2013 to 2014. For 2 years, we have listed out 5 countries. And I am highlighting another line here. Kindly have a look at this. From January 1st to 2014 to December 31st, 2015, I have another 5 countries. If you observe these two very clearly, kindly have a look at this, highlighting this, and I am highlighting this. Can you please observe that there is a overlap of 1 year? Meaning January 1st, 2014 to December 31st, 2014, this year is overlapping. Means at any given point of time, there will be minimum 10 non-permanent members. So obviously what will happen? By December 31st, 2014, the term of Argentina, Australia, Luxembourg, Korea, Rwanda will come to an end. But during that period, the existing 5 countries will continue. But by December 31st, 2014, another 5 countries will be elected as the non-permanent members. And the new countries' term will begin on January 1st, 2015, and that will be continued for a period of 2 years. That's the reason election of the non-permanent members will happen every year. 5 countries are going out, 5 countries are coming in, and they will join the 5 countries which are already existing, only to see that the minimum strength of non-permanent members will be 10. This is how it will be maintained. Hope I am clear. But I told you one point: no country is permitted for immediate re-election. And if you look at this, Argentina, Australia, Luxembourg, Korea, and Rwanda, once their term is completed, they need to wait at least for a period of 1 year. Immediately, they are not permitted to become the non-permanent members. Meaning, instead of these 5 countries, some other 5 countries will become the non-permanent members. And from January 1st, look at the line I have highlighted. January 1st, 2014 to December 31st, 2015. You can observe very clearly. Again, this is the 2 full calendar years. Chad, Chile, Jordan, Lithuania, and Nigeria, these are the 5 countries. And by December 31st, the previous 5 countries will go away, but Chad, Chile, Jordan, Lithuania, Nigeria, they will remain as non-permanent member, and they will be joined by 5 new non-permanent members. Hopefully I'm clear now. And of course, I want you to remember this point also. How many times India became a non-permanent member of the Security Council? Answer is 7 times. Now, look at this. Look at this point here. The veto powers are the permanent members. The veto powers of the permanent members are mentioned in Article 27 of the UN Charter. You know what is the meaning of the Charter. You know what is the meaning of the articles. And one of the articles is Article 27. It mentioned the veto powers. See here, what do you mean by the veto powers here? Veto powers are always exercised by the permanent 5 members. These are the members which will take decisions with respect to various issues. And out of these 5 countries, it should be accepted by all the 5 countries. Whenever I am using the word veto power here, if 4 countries say something and 1 country opposes that, then the answer will be opposing. That's it. Meaning 4 countries are saying yes, 1 country is saying no, and the answer will be no. Meaning, because this is the very, very important organization, because they are going to take certain important decisions, obviously it is expected to be accepted by all the 5 permanent states. That is the reason it is called the veto powers. Just remember, it is mentioned in the United Nations Charter. Now, I am opening the document again. Procedural matters are not subjected to veto. And remember, very, very important point here. For the month of September, meaning this month 2014, the President of the Security Council is Samantha Power of United States of America. I told you already, it will be rotated on month-to-month basis. And for this month, it is the Samantha Power of United States of America. Okay, so these are the points with relation to the United Nations Security Council. This is the second one. We have finished it. Now we'll go to the third one. So that is a Secretariat. So before coming to Secretariat, let me come back to you on the screen. Let me have a discussion with you. Now, when we say about the Secretariat, see, this is not at all a new word for us. We come across the word Secretariat almost every day or very, very frequently. Wherever we are living, in our states, we have the State Secretariat. And for the central government, we have the Central Secretariat that is located in Delhi. And with respect to the State Secretariat, they are located in the state capitals. What do you mean by the Secretariat? Let me tell you a few points so that it will become easy for us to understand the concept of the United Nations Secretariat. Now, if you look at the Secretariat in any state, example, in every state we have a chief minister and some other ministers. And we also very clear that chief ministers and other ministers, they are functioning with the support of the bureaucrats or the so-called administrators or the so-called the civil servants. So these are the senior officers. Hence, these officers are giving the advices to the ministers, and ministers will be discussing with them. Finally, they will take the policy decisions, and finally it should be implemented. But for a minister and secretary to discuss together, to prepare a policy together, they need some office space to sit and work. That office is nothing but the secretariat. Hence, you observe this one, whenever I use the word secretariat, that is the place where the chief minister and chief secretary, ministers and their secretaries, they are sitting together in one office, in one compound. Meaning within that premises, you may have different buildings. Different ministers will be sitting in different buildings, but the complex is one, and that complex is called secretariat. That's the reason why secretariat is considered to be the heart of administration. Every information is available in the secretariat. In the similar manner, in the central secretariat also, prime minister will be sitting, cabinet secretary will be sitting, other ministers and other secretaries, everybody will be sitting. They are discussing and they are making the policies. That is the meaning of the secretariat. In the similar manner, when it comes to the international issues here, that should also be discussed somewhere. Hence, they are expected to function on day-to-day basis. How do you function in the absence of the information? That's the reason why we have an office called Secretariat, that is the information repository center, and that information will be utilized by General Assembly and the Security Council for making certain decisions. Clear? Now I'll show you the document. I'm coming here. Look at this now. It was established in the year 1945. It is located in New York. Yes, we know this. The other offices are located in various places. You can have a look at here. Addis Ababa, Bangkok, Beirut, Geneva, Nairobi, Santiago, Vienna. In different places we have the branches here. The main objective is to promote international peace and security. Next. Look at this point here. The Secretariat is a forum to discuss and resolve the pressing issues in the international field. That's the reason whatever is happening anywhere in the world, the information will first reach the Secretariat, and Secretariat will be giving the information to the remaining organs of the United Nations. Hence, this is the place where so many issues will be discussed. Next, this Secretariat is headed by Secretary General and is called Secretary General of the United Nations. Kindly remember one point. Already I told you, kindly remember in sequence. When I am talking about the General Assembly, I told you General Assembly is headed by the President and the term is 1 year. Security Council is headed by the President and the term is 1 month. Now I am talking to you about the Secretariat. It is headed by Secretary General, meaning the designation is different. But when it comes to the term, this person will have a term of 5 years. Hope you are getting. General Assembly 1 year, Security Council 1 month, and Secretariat, this person will be holding the office for 5 years and is eligible for re-election. Right? Now I'll show you the document here. Look at this. Now, so the Secretary General is the highest ranked official in the United Nations. Now, I'm just scrolling it. Look at this. It is the highest ranked official in the United Nations. And here, if you look at this, the UN Charter has mentioned Secretary General as the Chief Administrative Officer, and the Secretary General is appointed by the General Assembly on the recommendation of the Security Council. So this is one very important point. Kindly remember this. Secretary General is appointed. Who is appointing? Answer is General Assembly. On whose recommendation? Answer is the Security Council. Look at this, gentlemen. The present Secretary General is the Ban Ki-moon. Ban Ki-moon, and this gentleman belongs to Korea. And this is from January 1st, 2007 onwards. And if you look at the time, 2007 to he will be holding office for 5 years and the term is over. But the person is eligible for reappointment. That's the reason why again he has been appointed as the Secretary General. That's the reason why even today also the same gentleman is continuing as the Secretary General of Korea. Right? Now look at this. The term of office is 5 years and the incumbent is eligible for the reappointment. Incumbent in the sense the existing Secretary General is also eligible for reappointment. Now some important points here. I told you already. Can you have a look at this? The term of Ban Ki-moon was expired on December 31st, 2011 and but reappointed again on June 21st, 2011. That's the reason why this gentleman's second term began on January 1st, 2012 and from this date he will continue for a period of 5 years. Look at this. Look at this gentleman. He was a foreign minister of South Korea prior to his appointment as the Secretary General. He was a foreign minister. Look at this point. It is for the sake of general knowledge. Ban Ki-moon was the second Asian to be the Secretary General of United Nations. He was the second person from the Asian region. Look at this point here. The first person was U Thant of Burma. Now it is no more Burma. Now it is called Myanmar. Kindly have a look at the map. Locate where Myanmar is. Now, so this person was the first Secretary General from Asia and he continued. Look at this. From 61 to 71 he was there. Next. Another point with respect to the GK here. I am highlighting this on the screen. Have a look at this. The first Secretary General, he belongs to Norway and his name was Trygve Lie. Very important here. But just remember this point here. Gladwin Jebb of UK was the acting Secretary General. That's it. But otherwise we take Trygve Lie into consideration. He was the first General Secretary. Now the post of Deputy Secretary General was created when Kofi Annan was the Secretary General. Meaning we have a position called Secretary General and we understood that. So he is called Chief Administrative Officer. That is what is mentioned in the Charter of the United Nations. But otherwise when it comes to the Deputy Secretary General, it is not mentioned in the Charter. But when Kofi Annan was the Secretary General, he created this. And today also the office of Deputy Secretary General is existing. And the Deputy Secretary General is appointed by the Secretary General. Very important. Now I'll show you the document. Have a look at here. Now the Deputy Secretary General is appointed by the Secretary Generals. The present Deputy Secretary General is John Eliasson of Sweden. Now the UN Charter is not specific about the functions and powers of the Secretariat. The primordial function is to implement the decisions of the other organs. Next one. The Secretariat administers the peacekeeping operations in various countries. Decisions are taken by Security Council administered by Secretariat. It also studies the economic and social trends in various countries, and the staff members are appointed by Secretary General on temporary and permanent basis. That's the reason even from India also, some of the people will go there and work there and come back, either it is permanent or temporary basis. Look at the last point here. This is another important point. Yesterday when I was talking to you, I told you that there are 6 official languages that are present in the UNO, and we have seen that Arabic, Chinese, English, French, Russian, and Spanish. These are the 6 official languages. But if somebody presents a document in Spanish or French or Russian, how come the remaining members will understand? That is the reason why the responsibility of the United Nations Secretariat is that apart from other functions, it will also translate the documents in other languages so that the remaining members will also understand what exactly is the content. So this is about the Secretariat. So kindly remember all the points. Next, another small one is there. We'll have a discussion about this. The Economic and Social Council. It is also called ECOSAC, established in the year 1945. As usual, we know the location, New York. This is one of the primary organs. Yes, we have seen. Remember this. This is the main platform for discussing the international social and economic issues. The name itself is indicating wherever maybe it is happening in 193 countries with respect to the economic and social issues that will be discussed on a platform that is called ECOSAC. Look at this. There is a president here, and the term of the president is 1 year. And right now, this gentleman is from Austria. His name is Martin Sajdik. Kindly remember the name, maybe a possible question. Look at the term here. We have written it is as a 1 year. Kindly recollect all the points. General Assembly, 1 year. Security Council, 1 month. Secretariat, 5 years. Now I am talking to you, Economic and Social Council, and the term is 1 year. Now, the first president was this man, Ramaswamy Mudaliar, and the strength is 54. And look at this. Look at this. The members are elected by General Assembly for a period of 3 years. Meaning every country is not a member in the ECOSAC. Right now we have 54 countries, and those countries' term is the 3 years. Look at this. Just for your information, don't worry too much about this one here. The seats are based on the geographical representation, with 14 from Africa, 11 from Asia, 6 from Eastern Europe, followed by 10 from Latin America and the Caribbean, and 13 states are from the Western Europe. So this is the basic idea. Look at this here. So one simple information here. Just read it. In the World Economic and Social Survey of 2011, the United Nations has pledged for spending $2 trillion on environmental technologies. This is called the green technology, otherwise the clean technology, otherwise sustainable development. So this is to prevent the major planetary catastrophe. This is how the international bodies will think. Clear? Spending so much of money is not a small issue, but this is being spent on the environmental issues to prevent that catastrophes. Next one is a International Court of Justice. We have seen this International Court of Justice. It is again one of the important units in this United Nations here. Now when you look at this ICJ, the name itself is indicating it is a judiciary, it is a judicial system. Look at India, example I am telling you. At the lower level, that is in the states, we have the high courts. And we know what is the meaning of the jurisdiction. I told you the meaning of the jurisdiction here. And each high court has the jurisdiction, and all the people and the places that are living in that particular area They are expected to act on the directions that are given by the High Court of that area. Similarly, when you go to the Supreme Court here, the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court is very, very large, very, very wide. Meaning, Supreme Court has a jurisdiction throughout India. Hence, it has the right to give orders to any person or any institution in the country, and those orders are binding on that particular one. Since we are the citizens of India, we are the institutions in India, because we are living here, we are expected to abide by the directions that are given by the Supreme Court. Hence, I have a jurisdiction for High Court. Hence, I have a jurisdiction for Supreme Court. And if the Supreme Court gives any order, if it is not abide by the concerned person or institution, Supreme Court has every right to take action against the concerned people or the institution. That's the reason why we give highest respect to the Supreme Court, because of its powers. In the similar manner, if some things are happening at the international level, where should I go? When two nations are involved, when more nations are involved, I cannot take up the issue to my Supreme Court, because my Supreme Court is for me. If I have any disputes with any other nation regarding any aspect here, how to settle those issues? So this is the place where we need the international court system. In the beginning itself, it was understood by international community. Hence, there was a provision, and International Court of Justice has been established along with other institutions in the UNO. Now, just now I told you what is the jurisdiction of High Court and what is the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. When it comes to the jurisdiction of the International Court, the jurisdiction is worldwide. Yesterday we understood the strength of UNO is 193, means the jurisdiction of ICJ is 193 countries. It has the right to give the directions to any country out of this 193, and they are expected to be abide by the concerned countries. This is how we give respect to the ICJ. And as usual, when it comes to this ICJ, because it is judiciary, there are some judges who are present over in ICJ. The strength of judges is 15. These judges are coming from various countries. It is a general expectation and general principle that out of these 15 judges, no two judges should belong to the same country. For example, if you look at this, today in ICJ, we have an Indian, Justice Dalveer Bhandari. He is an Indian. Right now, he is one of the judges in the ICJ. Since an Indian is already there, other person cannot become the, other Indian cannot become the judge. So meaning it's a mechanism to provide opportunities to various countries. That is the reason why, so this is a general principle that is being followed. And if you look at High Court in India, in High Court I have the Chief Justice. In Supreme Court I am calling that person as the Chief Justice of India, and you know the meaning here. In the similar manner, in ICJ, out of these 15 judges, one person is considered to be the Chief Judge. But the terminology that is used in the ICJ is that the Chief Judge is called the President of ICJ. Hope you are getting it. I am using a different terminology. He is called the President of ICJ, not the Chief Judge of ICJ. Hope you are getting it now. And another important point is that, in High Court, when somebody is appointed as a judge, he will retire after attaining the age of 62 years. We know these points. If somebody is appointed as Supreme Court judge, He will retire once he attains the age of 65. High Court judges 62, Supreme Court judges 65. We know these points. But when it comes to this ICJ, if anybody is appointed as a judge in the ICJ, the term will be 9 years. Starting from day one till he completes 9 years, he will be there and eligible for re-election. Those provisions are present in the United Nations. But where from these judges are coming? These judges are coming from the different countries. But what are the qualifications? When we read about High Court and Supreme Court, we have understood the qualifications of the High Court judges and the Supreme Court judges. But when it comes to the qualification of the judge in ICJ, concepts are very, very clear. Simple point, kindly remember. Any person who is eligible to be appointed as a judge of the highest court in his home country is also eligible to be appointed as a judge for ICJ. If you look at India, highest court for me is the Supreme Court, and anybody who is eligible to be appointed as a Supreme Court judge is also eligible to be appointed as a judge in the ICJ. So because these are the senior people, because they have lots of experience in various cases, they will become the more suitable as far as the ICJ is concerned. That's the reason why. So these are the principles that are present over here. Hopefully I'm clear. Now I'll just open the document. Again, I'll show you some points with respect to this ICJ. Kindly have a look at this. Now, kindly stay on, please. So let me complete this. The time is over, but even then, let me finish, because tomorrow we need to start back the general issues. So many things are there. We'll have a discussion. Now, it was established in the year 1945. Initial name was Permanent Court of International Justice. It started functioning in the year 1946. Headquarters, we know this. It is there in The Hague, Netherlands. This is the primary judicial organ of the United Nations. Yes, we know this. What is the jurisdiction? We understood. The jurisdiction is the worldwide. 193 countries are covered here. The members automatically become the parties. You need not separately become the member. All the countries of United Nations will automatically become the members of the ICJ. Next, the non-UN members may also become the parties. What is the meaning here? If any country which is also not a member of the United Nations, even then it may become a party here. Now, look at this. Next point, again important for us. What is the function of this ICJ? This ICJ settles the legal disputes and also provides the advisory opinion on the legal questions. Advisory opinion on the legal questions submitted by the international organizations and General Assembly. Now, this point we have already known this. The strength is 15, 3 from Asia, 3 from Africa, 2 from Latin America, 2 from Eastern Europe, and 5 from the Western Europe and other states. So this is how it is divided. Now, next one, look at this here. The term of each judge is how many years? 9 years. This is what we have understood. 9 years. Now, if you go to next line here, the judges are elected by the General Assembly and the United Nations Security Council. Look at this. Now, 5 judges are elected every 3 years to maintain the continuity in the court. And this point, kindly look at this. No 2 judges should belong to the same country. Okay. Look at some more points. Every point is important, my dear friends. If a judge dies in the office, the other judge is elected for the remaining term from the same nation or from the continent. So this is the point here. If any judge dies because of any reason, or if any judge retires because of any submits a resignation letter because of any reason, then other judge will be elected possibly from the same country, if it is possible. Otherwise, at least from the same continent. Since beginning, can you look at this? Since beginning, except China, other four permanent nations had a judge from the respective countries in the ICJ. Except China, other countries have it. Look at the qualifications I have told you already. They should be qualified for the highest judicial office in the home country, are lawyers with adequate knowledge and competence in the international law, not just your law, but the international law. Now, look at this. Look at this. Certain important points we have written here at the higher level. I am highlighting this. Look at this. The judges of ICJ cannot hold any other post, meaning that will become the full-time post for those people. They cannot be here and there at the same time. Removal. This is another important point. Look at this. Removal. A judge can be removed only by the unanimous vote of the other members of the court. What is the meaning of this? When it comes to High Court judges and Supreme Court judges, we know the removal. And they'll be removed in the special procedure and special mechanism that is adopted in our parliament. But now we are talking about the international court judges here. These judges will be removed by the unanimous vote of the other judges. What is the meaning? There are 15 judges, we have understood, and out of these 15 judges, if I want to remove one judge, it should be accepted by remaining 14 judges. That's the reason why it is almost impossible to remove them, but the procedure is available. Right now, again I'm coming back here. Look at this. I told you already, this gentleman is called the president. He is the chief judge. His designation is the president of ICJ. Right now it is Mr. Peter Tomka of Slovakia. He started his journey in 2012 and he will be there as the president of ICJ up to 2015. The current vice president belongs to Mexico, Bernardo Sepulveda Amor. So this gentleman is from Mexico and he is the present vice president, and the judgments are binding on the nations. In the case of any objection, it can be taken to the Security Council. Clear? Next. As per Article 8 of the ICJ statute, the General Assembly and the Security Council shall proceed independently of one another to elect a judge of the ICJ. This is what happens. The candidate who gets absolute majority in both the Assembly and the Security Council will be declared elected. Very, very, very important. The judges are elected by the absolute majority, and the judge is also eligible for reappointment. See here, I am highlighting it here. Now, look at this. As in March 2012, there are 14 judges and there is a vacancy caused by resignation of, very, very important, resignation of An Shaukat Al Khasavanhe, and this gentleman was from Jordan. He submitted the resignation letter. Now see here, I told you, if you look at this one, Jordan, the gentleman has resigned, and later what happened is that, if you look at the next point I am highlighting, a judge of Supreme Court, Justice Dalwar Bandari of India and Justice Florinto Feliciano are contesting for the election. Right, and of course this is the old information, so I'm just removing it here. The election will be held. Already the election was held and everything is over, and this gentleman, Philippine person, got defeated, and Dalwir Bandari, he got elected. Look at this. Dalwir Bandari occupied the position of this gentleman because he submitted the resignation letter. That's the reason why Today, the Justice Dalveer Bhandari of India, he was a judge. He is a judge of Supreme Court during that time, and he has been elected as the judge of this ICJ. And some points. Kindly have a look at this. Indians who served as judges of ICJ, Sir Benegal Rao. If you look at this name here, hopefully you know this gentleman, Sir Benegal Rao. In the Constituent Assembly, when we were speaking about the advisor to the Constituent Assembly, we have used one name, B.N. Rao. His full name is Sir Benegal Rao. The same gentleman was there as a judge in the ICJ. Right? Now, I'll just come back to the document. Look at this. And look at this. And after this, Dr. Nagendra Singh, Justice R.S. Pathak. So these served as the judges. Dr. Nagendra Singh was a former Chief Election Commissioner of India for a very short period. Look at this. October 1st, 72 to February 6th, 1973. And Indians who served as a ad hoc judges as a MC Chagla and Jeevan Reddy. Ad hoc means temporary. You must be knowing this. Now look at this simple points here. Only for our information, not at all important now. The Supreme Court Judge Justice Dalveer Bhandari was elected as a judge of ICJ on April 28, 2012, and the election was held in New York. This point we have already seen. Kindly have a look at this. So it was a casual vacancy because the existing judge submitted the resignation letter and he belongs to Jordan. And there was a contestation here between two people and Indian got elected. And the Bhandari will have a term of 6 years and is eligible for re-election for 9 years. Sir, why only 6 years? Because the total term is 9 years, and out of that the previous gentleman from Jordan, so he finished 3 years of term. Meaning if a person is getting elected in between, he will be serving only for the remaining periods and not for the full 9 years term. But he started his journey in 2012. He will continue up to 2018, and again in 2018 he may be re-elected. If he is re-elected, from then he will continue for a period of 9 years. Hopefully I'm clear. And look at this. Of course, general information, not important for any examination. Rather, I told you already, the judges will be elected by absolute majority. And look at this. This gentleman got 122 votes and this gentleman has got same person 13 votes in the Security Council. Right? Now, look at some miscellaneous points. Just have a look at this. In November 2012, the General Assembly has proposed for banning the capital punishment. Capital punishment means death sentence. Kindly remember this point. This point may be useful for you to write somewhere in the mains examination. Capital punishment is nothing but the death sentence. Most of the countries in the world today, they have abolished the death sentence. And when it comes to countries like India, Pakistan, America, even today also we have the concept of the death sentence. But so many times in the United Nations, the discussion has been taken place whether the death sentence should be banned or not. Some countries like India, so we are not accepting for this. But otherwise here, when this particular discussion has been taken place in the Constituent United Nations, 110 nations have voted for banning the death sentence. 39 nations have voted against banning, and other 36 nations, they did not vote. Look at this. India voted against the resolution, meaning India wanted to continue the death sentence because of its own reasons. When the time permits, we will have a discussion. But of course, look at this. It was a non-binding resolution. Just because it has been voted by majority of the countries, it does not mean that it will be implemented. It is because This is a non-binding resolution. See here, what is the meaning of this? When we talk about the resolutions in the United Nations, resolution is nothing but it's the proposals that are made here. And there are two types of proposals. One is the binding resolution. Second one is the non-binding resolution. If it is the binding resolution and if it is passed by majority of the members, it will be automatically applicable for the remaining world, remaining countries. If it is a non-binding resolution, that is a matter of expression of their opinion. It is not binding. You cannot force any country to follow this. That is a basic idea. Hopefully you are followed. So this is about the so-called the whole concept of this ICJ. I am going to the next line here. Kindly have a look at this. You know how to read the question. Kindly read the question here. Which of the following statements is or correct? Read this 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 statements are given. The United Nations organization is the precursor of League of Nations. Do you agree with this? Yes. The answer is right. Previously it was called League of Intergovernmental Organizations. That is the League of Nations. Hence it is the so-called UNO is the precursor. If you look at this question very, very clearly, kindly understand certain points here. Is UNO is the precursor of League of Nations, or League of Nations is the precursor of the UNO? Which is the first one? That is the basic idea. If you reverse this, then option A should be correct. If I'm not wrong, hopefully you are following. So obviously League of Nations, League of Intergovernmental Organization is the precursor. So obviously, so I am forced to delete this A, right? So I think we went in a wrong manner in the first step. So now we are correcting it. So obviously A should be wrong. Next, the League of Nations was established in the year 1919. Yes, that is the answer. We have seen this. League of Nations was dissolved in the year 1945. Just to recollect yesterday's class. Is it 1945 or 1946? Answer is 1946. So out of A, B, C, only B is correct so far. Now look at this. D. UNO came into force on October 24th, 1945. Yes, that is the answer. Kindly look at the question. I'll give you some time again. Hopefully you will agree with me if I say B and D are correct and the remaining two are wrong. That's the reason why I should go to the answer 3. That is B and D. Hopefully you agree with me. I think we have given some other answer here. So let me change it. So it should be answer should be 3. Hopefully you will agree. This is a point here. Kindly have a look at the question and look at the options. League of Nations was established in 1919. We have understood. Yes, it was established after Paris Peace Conference. It was dissolved in 1946, not in 1945. And the UNO came into force on October 24th. That's the reason why B and D are correct. And then my answer should be 3. I have one more question. I will just show it to you. Look at the question here. Which of the following statements are correct? Look at this. United States of America, UK, France, Germany, and Russia are the 5 permanent members in the United Nations Security Council. Is it right? It should not be right. because Germany is not there. USA, UK, France, China and Russia. So obviously it should be the wrong answer, right? Kindly look at this here. Because we know very clearly option A is wrong, straight away I can go to the answers here. Wherever A is present, I can eliminate A. That's the reason I can make myself very sure that option 1 and option 3 are wrong. Then I can concentrate only on the two here, that is BCD and BC. We'll see. The non-permanent members of the United Nations Security Council are elected for a period of 2 years. Yes, we know this one. India is a non-permanent member of the Security Council for 7 times. Yes. So B and C are correct. So obviously option 2 may be correct or option 4 may be correct. And India became a non-permanent member of United Nations Security Council on January 1st, 2011. Look at this. It happened on January 1st, 2012. That's the reason why. So the option should be option number 4 here. So that is a B and C. So these are the points and this is how. So let's look into this. Next one. So that is the end of the story for today. And we'll be meeting tomorrow at the same time. We'll have the discussion regarding the other issues which are there. See here, this is not the end of the story with respect to the international institution. So many institutions are there. We'll have a discussion periodically whenever the time permits. But this is the major one, which is a very, very important. Kindly go through all the points. Watch this video very periodically. So once you consolidate yourself and fix yourself here, so then it will become easy for us. So to understand any international issues, I'm just repeating this. Another important issue is that whenever we come across with any international organization, then we'll go back to the details of this. We'll spend some time and we'll have the discussion. So maybe within a short period of time, so within 1 day, 2 days, 3 days or this week, sometime we'll also have a discussion on the General Assembly session that is going on in United Nations. First of all, let them start talking something in the assembly, then we'll try to have a discussion. And tomorrow we'll meet again at the same time, and whatever may be the issues that you have, kindly put it in the comment box or mail it to me so that we'll go ahead with your suggestions. So thank you so much. Thanks for being with me today. I'll stop the session. I'll stop the broadcasting. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have a meeting at 9 o'clock, not 9:30. Tomorrow we'll be meeting at 9 o'clock. Kindly make it very clear. We'll come back to our original time. We'll be meeting at 9 o'clock. Okay, thank you so much. I am stopping the broadcast. Good night.